Second day of summer, 93 days of summer coming up. Like, good morning, and welcome to my lives. I try and go live between 7:30 and 8:30 Eastern time pretty much every day. So, I mean, it's like, what else am I doing? Oh, yeah, working to get moved to my new property. I'm so excited. But today we're not going to talk about excitement. We're going to talk about things like frustration and anger and sadness and depression and anxiety and worry and doubt. Oh gosh, my neck just got a crick in it. So anyway, it's very interesting to think about the different emotions that we go through every single day. And sometimes we think like, what's your favorite flavor of suffering? Right? I want you to think about that. Like, where is your go-to? And you don't sometimes even realize it. This happened to me yesterday. I've been doing this work for a long time. And I'm like, this is my life. It's not like I have a life over here and then I also do the work. Like, no, I'm immersed in like the living of life, like the school of life, like learning through life. They say the school of hard knocks, right? This is living through life. And so good morning, Blair. Love that people are on. If you are on, please drop me a comment that you're here. I know it's 7:30 a.m. or 7:46 actually on Thursday, June 22nd. So I know it's early for some people, or we're getting ready for work or whatever. But this is the time of day that I get inspired, and so I just take advantage of that. And so if you're here, love to hear from you. Drop me a comment. Where are you from? Drop me a comment. How did you hear about me? What do you know about horses? Have you ever been to one of my facilities? Have you ever experienced one of my trainings? I'd love to know who is my audience and who are the people in my neighborhood. And so I can serve you at a higher level. Because today we're going to talk about something pretty intimate. We're going to talk about emotions. And my eyes are actually a little puffy because yesterday I was crying a lot. And that's not a bad thing. Like whenever people are like, oh, I'm not a crier, that'd be like me saying, oh, I'm not a pooper. I don't pee, like, oh, I'm so proud of myself. I hold this badge of honor, like that I don't release this waste or these emotions that need to come out. And that is definitely one way to release negative emotions. And that's really what we're going to talk about, today. So for today, I want you to think about the emotions that you are feeling and what you do when you feel those emotions, right? And what is the things that you have going on in your life, and how can you take that and turn it into something new? And I call it the emotion ladder. So I want you to think about what it looks like to be on that emotion ladder, and wherever you are on that ladder, it's very challenging to go from being like really unbelievably sad and depressed, and maybe you've been feeling this way for a long time, and maybe it's not even your feeling. Maybe it's like this. These are things that happen from your parents. Like, I'll tell you, this is going to sound crazy, but this is the truth. I was just recently at my dear friend Daniela's place up in New York, and she has 2 miniature donkeys, and the mother donkey and the baby donkey have a really unhealthy relationship. The baby donkey is full grown and he's still trying to nurse, and it's very unhealthy, right? And so there's some definite codependency there. And I have a point, I promise, stay in the car. So the thing that happened was the baby got sick. He's not a baby anymore. He's 4 years old by now. And he wasn't feeling well. And so the mama donkey was like, helicopter freaking out. Anywhere he went, she went. And we were waiting for him to poop. So because if they get sick, sometimes they get constipated, and that can cause them to colic, and they don't poop. All right. So there's your horse lesson for the day. Horses need to continue to poop, donkeys too. So he wouldn't poop. And we're all worried. And then when he finally did poop, I wanted to examine it. So yes, I love to look at poop. Just like I love to look at tears too, because we poop for different reasons. We shed tears for different reasons. And I wanted to see like how much it was, was it dry? Was he dehydrated? Like I wanted to see what this looked like. And so the mother donkey is over there like, worried about the baby. And the baby's like, and he's not really a baby. The little one is over there and he finally poops. The minute he does, she goes over and starts to poop on top of it. I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, I was so irritated with her because we've been waiting for hours and walking him in the pouring rain. It was 3 a.m. We were both exhausted. And I was like, God, was so mad that she did that because now I can't see I can't see what's going on with him because she's on top of it. Right. And I was so mad because you know what actually ended up happening? Why I was mad about that? Because when I went to go move her away and all these other things, she was like so worried. It reminded me of my mom. This mama donk reminded me of my mom. And that triggered me at such a deep level. Like this little donkey's triggered me at such a deep level because my mom's like that. She's always like kind of worried that she's not getting enough and that she's always just kind of like baseline worried all the time. And I kind of don't blame her because my father is very controlling. And I could tell you like the stories of sometimes how he would just like shift his weight and she would change the subject. Like that level of control and manipulation going on in my household. And over years and years and years, they've been married, God, like 54, 55 years, over half a century. Longer than I've been alive, obviously, because my parents, but it's longer than a lot of us have been alive, right? So you think about that and you go, wow, that is some influence, but it's from a manipulative standpoint. And it triggered me when I saw this mama donkey get into this like needy, everything is okay, and like acting all worried and concerned, and it seems like it's cute and like, oh, they're so caring and loving and nurturing, but it's warped. It's gotten warped into something unhealthy and unnatural, right? And abnormal, right? It's normal for us to nurse, right? But it's not normal for an 8-year-old to nurse, right? It's normal for us to be in diapers, but it's abnormal for us to be in diapers at 20 or 40, right? So when I saw that and I got so triggered by it, I was like, this is a pure example of how I don't want to show up in my life. And I have a person in my life, not my mom. I love my mom. And I don't have any judgment towards her. That was my shit to own, by the way, that trigger of the instance, because that's a contrast of how I want to feel. And when I got angry, I was like, and I was like, I acted angry. I was like, darn it, you donkey. I'm trying to see the baby. We've been working so hard, right? And instantly, the minute you feel that way and you allow the emotion to control you, you allow your ego to take over. Your ego takes over when you allow your negative emotions to control you and you allow the influence of what's going on externally to influence the way you feel. Like, right? There's a great book, probably one of the best, Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl, or Night by Elie Wiesel. 2 really incredible books that talk about, and Unbroken by Zamperini. Unbroken is also a movie about World War II. But he talks about like how to in the face of things that trigger you. And things, look at what triggers us these days, you guys. Let's face it, we are not in a world war. We have not seen true war. We've never, if you're an American, you've never seen like war on, there's never been a foreign war on American soil ever in history. Except for like the Revolutionary War, if you want to get like really technical about it. But think about what triggers you and how do you manage when you have a negative emotion. And when you kind of get in that awareness, and even like somebody like getting the wrong starch at the dry cleaner. I remember when I used to wait tables, we had to have like our aprons had to be so starched and so stiff that they stood up. Like they had to stand up. They were so starchy. Right. So when I go to the dry cleaner, I'd see them folded over a hanger because they pressed them. I was like, dude, I can't go to work. I can't go to work with that apron and they don't have enough time to press it. And it's an hour before I'm supposed to be there. I'm now at home with Stay Flow starch, like trying to starch this thing to make sure it's right until I got, so that could be in a situation because what does it do? Why do we get triggered? because they didn't get the starch right on my apron, which means what? I have to take more action. I have to burn more calories that I then could, that are going to maybe make me tired at work, or I couldn't perform, or my apron's not going to be as good as the dry cleaner could have done it. And that I might get potentially sent home from my job, and my job is where I make my money, and my money is how I pay my rent and eat. And that's kind of important, right? So when you think about the little train of events and the momentum that can be built through getting angry over the starch on your apron, or getting upset because the mama donkey is pooping where the little donkey pooped, right? Why, when you peel it back and you look in as to what is actually happening and why those things triggered you, you can go, that's why. And then you can start to get a better idea of how to set yourself up in a way that's more successful. Now, in the donkey situation, I wasn't the only one there, so my opinion wasn't the only one that mattered, and so I couldn't control things like I wanted to, right? And so let's talk about control for a second, shall we? Who here would like to have more control in their life? Who here would like to have more certainty over where their money is coming from, when it's coming in, and all these things, especially in this economy? Like the R word, that word is not spoken in my house. Like, I don't even talk about the R word because it's temporary. And if you don't know what the R word is, good, you don't want to know. Right? We're all focusing on it. We're all getting it force fed down our throats like foie gras on a goose, but that's gross, and it'll make you sick. And I was watching an interview with Denzel Washington recently, and he said something really brilliant. He says, if you are not reading the newspaper, then you are uninformed. If you are reading the newspaper, you're misinformed. So if you think about that, you think, oh my gosh, you have all of this information. We're drowning in information, but we're starving for wisdom. We're thirsting for wisdom. And the wisdom begins. And here you go, guys. Here's the big domino. I love this. Here's the big domino. I'm going to give you the big domino every single day. The big domino is how to manage your own emotions no matter what is going on around you. No matter what you have. And this is kind of critical piece too, because I was like, well, what's going on around me? What's going on externally? What about what I have created based on what I did yesterday, the day before, a week before, the month before, 6 months before, a year before, a lifetime before? And what am I dragging with me that's not even mine to drag with me? Where are the barnacles on my boat that I can just go scrape off and let them go to somewhere else, right? And when you can think about that and really dial in with what's important to you and how you want to feel, you can decide. And I talk about this almost every single video I do. I talk about how to choose your emotions and how you want to feel, because when you feel a certain way, you will take a different action. If you're mad and you allow your emotions to control you, you will act mad, like I did that night with the donkey. I mean, I wasn't a jerk or anything. I was just like, no, right? Please don't, because I couldn't separate what was hers and what was his, and I couldn't see if he was okay, and I wasn't sure, and obviously it was fine. We'd got something, and that's improvement. But I've been working for right? So I started to feel like this loss, like I lost all that time that we'd been waiting to see if he was going to be okay, right? And I allowed that to influence me to go, no, instead of, hey, he pooed, it's good, we're fine. Now we know next time, maybe move the mama donkey over here and keep them separated, right? The problem is that there was other influences, and that's understandable. But that doesn't mean you cannot take your time and really become awake and aware of how you're feeling on the regular. Does this resonate for anybody? Does this make sense to anybody? And I'll tell you something, when you get around the horses and you start working with horses, specifically my horses, I've trained them for this. Like, they are specifically trained to be like these emotionally attached and connected, not attached, but connected healers. You're like, well, how did you train them to do that? Well, they call me a horse whisperer, right? But they don't call me a horse whisperer because I whisper to the horses, and you either. If you come and experience this, I will teach you how to be a horse whisperer instantly. like how to, because they don't teach us that. Like I'm not that because I talk to the horses, although I do that too. I listen to the whispers of the horse. And what's really interesting about that is that, and Steve Harvey said it really interestingly. He said, prayer is listening to God, and manifestation is talking to God or source, whatever your higher power is. We didn't just like the Big Bang Theory, whatever it is, however you want to call it. And I really think that's powerful. So when you find yourself, and here the big piece is having that awareness, when you find yourself in that space where you're like, I'm feeling a way I'm not sure that I want to feel today. Can you ask yourself, where is this coming from? Because there are three things, you guys. I can always give you your three things, sometimes four, because I'm an overachiever. It's like, whose voice is talking? Is this your voice? Is it your voice of alignment? Is it your higher power? Is it your mom? Lately, a lot of my conversations have been coming from my mom, because I'm under a really tight deadline right now. I've got the move for the property and all these things. So I've got a lot going on. So my mom's voice is coming up for me a lot. Like, well, what if it doesn't work? And how are you going to pay for that? And are the people that you're doing this with going to be helping you, or are you doing this by yourself? I mean, right? And those are the voices you need to quiet. And I don't mean tell them to be quiet. I mean to allow them to have their voice, and then allow them to move on and just observe it, so you can tap into the voice that will allow you to be at your highest and best, right? And how do you do that? And I do that. I put on a particular song. If you want to know the song, just message me and I'll send it to you. I put on a particular song that I love. It's 21 minutes long, which is the perfect amount of time. You don't need more than 20 minutes or so, because like I put it on, and by the time I get my phone set down and my eye mask on and everything, I got about 20 minutes, and that allows me to get still and set my train track, or choose my wardrobe, or order off the menu, whatever you want to do. It sets my train track for the day. It sets my alignment and my trajectory for the day. Here, I'm going to Hawaii, train track to Hawaii. And then throughout the day, I just make sure, like a good engineer, I make sure that I'm still on track. I go throughout the day, guys. Sometimes we don't think about the fact that we need to monitor our emotions throughout the day. It doesn't just happen. Okay, 8:02, gonna be happy. Set it and forget it. It doesn't work like that, because they're called emotions. And right now I'm kind of in a holding pattern, and I have a great apartment, but I am not an apartment dweller. I have realized I'm not very good at that, because when I'm on the phone, I pace like a tiger in a cage. I was born in the year of the tiger. I'm a Leo. I am definitely like a power cat. So, and I'm not a cat person, which is kind of funny, but that piece of you go, okay, I'm going to set my emotions. I'm going to set the train heading for here. And then I'm going to make sure I'm going to check my gauges. I'm going to check my monitors. I'm going to check my fuel. I'm not going to just put electrical tape over my screens, over my dashboard. So and then let the day run me. Because we usually wake up. The first thing we do when we wake up is we start thinking about our problems, or what we have to do today, or where the kids are going to go, or what day of school it is, and when we're going to have to do this, and when our deadline is for that. Like, man, oh man, if you poured that over your cereal every day, man, I would be mad too. I would be frustrated and worried and scared, and like looking for proof around that, and attracting more of it, and watching the news and getting some information. And my friend calls me and she's got a problem too, and we commiserate about that. We talk about that. Oh my God, look how much momentum you have going anywhere but where you decided to go at 8:02, right? And it's only 2 minutes later. It's only 8:04. And now we're going over here and thinking about, oh crap, I forgot to do this. And oh shoot, you know what? I need $32 for that. And I need 70. Oh shoot. Bring it back over. And when you feel it go, 1 minute, 1 second, a moment, there are 8 moments in a second, you guys. That's a lot. And it doesn't take very long for you to start recognizing sooner and grab it, get back on track. And how you do that is by allowing yourself permission to surrender to source. Whoa, what did you just say? Surrendering to source and really, truly having deep faith around the aligning towards the actions and desires and purpose of your life. You're like, well, I don't even know what that is. Well, how do you want to feel? Right? What makes you feel good? Well, smoking weed and drinking beer and hanging out on the beach. Okay, let's go find a way to monetize that. Weed dispensaries are a thing. Bars are a thing. Beaches are a thing. Let's go make some money doing that. If that's what you love, and that's what you want to do, find a way to monetize it, right? That's what I've done. I love people. I love horses. I love entertaining. I love cooking and food. I used to be a professional chef. I spent 12 years in personal development working with some of the best thought leaders in the world, including Tony Robbins and Deepak Chopra and Brene Brown and Stephen Covey and Dr. Joe Dispenza and Esther Hicks. I mean, I could go on and on about all the people that I read books from. I just Chris Voss, Miguel Ruiz, Cameron Haynes, David Goggins, Grant Cardone. I could go on and just keep name dropping. I've read so many books, right? Because I love personal development. I love self-development because guess what? I don't want to feel like my mom has felt her entire life. That sucks. I call her. She's like, hi, I'm fine. I'm okay. And I love my mom and it breaks my freaking heart. Shreds it. Who here has a parent like that or a person like that in their life? Maybe it's you. So how you want to feel, right? There you go. Back to that. Deciding, aligning, right? And getting still. So first off, decide how you, in the first moments, like the first thing I do is I get up, take a big deep breath. I take a big drink of water. I drink an entire glass of water to flush. Your body's been laying. Most of us, I mean, unless you're a tosser or turner person, you're exercising in your sleep. Most of us are still and sedentary when we sleep, unless we're falling out of bed and sleepwalking, like, Will Ferrell off of Step Brothers, we're sleeping. And our bodies are the lymph system and all of our garbage system is going and cleaning out all that junk, right? First thing you got to do when you wake up in the morning, and sometimes even in the middle of the night, is like, you got to pee, right? And it's what? The most concentrated. It's the darkest. It's got the most stuff in it because overnight, that's what our body does. And our brains are doing it too. So the first thing I do, I have a glass of water with lemon sitting right next to my bed. So first thing I do is take a big drink of water to flush all that, start flushing my system, right? And then I flush all my negative emotions out. Anything that came up. If I start immediately thinking about the fact that I have a deadline for this and a thing for that and then immediately I start my track goes over here where I'm thinking about all the things I need to worry about and stress about and be fearful of and have anxiety around, right? So I'm like, nope, I get 20 minutes. I actually give myself more than that. But if you don't have 20 minutes, 18 minutes, 17 and a half, can you give yourself 7 minutes? Can you give yourself something that is dedicated, that you do not feel like you are just getting up and like rolling through the day, to set the trajectory? When they say on your mark, that is expressing your desire. I'm getting on my mark. Get set. The runners get up, right? That's setting your intentions. And then what happens if you go before the gun goes off? Starting gun. It's a what? It's a false start. It's a false start. And what happens if you have a false start? Depending on the level of competition, you're disqualified. If it's amateur, you might get one false start. Okay, reset everybody. Let's go again, right? But if you have a false start, you're out. You're out. So on your mark, when you wake up, take a big drink of water. And then what? On your mark, get set. Set your intentions. Align your emotions. Take that 20 minutes. I get set in the day is 20 minutes. Now on the starting line, it's like 20 seconds, right? So Hey, good morning. No, if you would like to do a live with me, I would love to have you. Just message me privately and we could set something up. So but that's what I want you to think about. And thank you for reaching out. So when you get set, that's that setting the emotions. That's setting the track, right? And then when the gun goes off, you go. Now you got to stay in your lane, and that doesn't mean just do your stuff. All right, let's not mix metaphors here. But you stay on your track, right? And what happens if you get off your track? You're disqualified. What happens if you come over here and run into somebody? Maybe your shit gets onto their shit and it ruins their race too. Be careful that you're not shitting on someone's race. Pardon my language, but it's true. And you got to keep going. And as the path turns when you're in flow and you're aligned, you curve along with it. And where do your eyes go? Does the track curve and you look over here and you focus on what you don't want, what you don't want, what you don't want, and then expect your feet to go that way? That only happens in cartoons. You have to turn with the track and follow the track. And does that mean your destiny is predetermined? No, because we get out of our lane all the time just to make sure that we are sure of what we want. And when you get out of your lane, what happens? Somebody takes their spiked shoe and steps on your foot or something else like it. You experience some form of pain. Now, if you just get a toe out, you can go, whoops, bring it back in. But if you're going out off completely off the track, like Forrest Gump over here, and you're just running someplace else, the universe is like, where the hell are they going? And everybody else is saying the same thing. It's like, but we're like, we're just going, right? And that massive action does not work if you are going off track. So that is how you deal with it. And you have to stay aware. And when I was going through some of the hardest times in my life, one of the ways I did it, and it's so crazy. It sounds nuts, but I took a magic marker and I wrote the word stop on my hand and I kept writing it on there. When I'd wash off, I'd write it on there again. And I did that and do whatever works for you. That just happened to work for me because I didn't know what else to do. I was running off track. Hello. And I was in a lot of pain. I was in so much pain. I was having white blood counts that were out of control. They thought I had lupus. They thought I had leukemia and a rare blood disorder, like doing all this blood work. And they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me because nothing was wrong with me. Nothing was wrong with me except I was off track, and I was off track so hard and for so long, I didn't even know how it felt to feel good. And when I got back on track and things started going, I started picking up momentum. I'd be like, whoa, wait a minute. This doesn't look like the woods I usually have to fight through. Am I going the right way? Going the right way? And so I would slow down, right? Instead of allowing and surrendering to the momentum of source when you are in alignment. Because when you're in alignment, the path becomes smooth, the path becomes clear, and you start going faster and you start picking up momentum, and that can be scary. And I know this when I used to be in a tough spot and I would self-medicate and I would do things that would not serve me. It was because I was worried about the momentum I was feeling, and it was such a foreign emotion for me to feel. I didn't feel like I was worthy of feeling it, so I would dampen it. Some people call that self-sabotage. I call that coming back to your normal. So to get the control over your emotions and develop a new normal is up to you, and the best place to do that is the very first thing in the morning. Drink your glass of water, take 20 minutes and get still. And then throughout the day, right, get just a bracelet and I don't like the whole rubber band snap thing. I don't like that because I don't want to growth does not have to be painful. We choose for it to be a lot of times, but it doesn't have to be. So I'm not a big fan of that. I like if you have something like that, you switch it to the other wrist or have a little touchstone in your pocket that's unique to this to keep that. Am I feeling this way? And we do it with the horses too. And it's called Ride Every Stride. So I have a little video I'm going to be sharing with Bella later this morning, and I watch her and say, is she okay? 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 And then when you're watching that and she's going around, you can ask yourself the same thing. And sometimes it takes every 30 seconds. Remember 802 to 804, we were off track. And you see how fast that happened, how fast we were able to get momentum going the wrong way. But wait a minute, you bring it back in alignment. Okay. And when you see that with the horses, and you can ride every stride. Come play with me. Come play with me and my horses, and I will show you these technologies. I will show you these philosophies, and I will teach you if you love horses, and whether or not you do or don't, they're beautiful animals. But you will see what ride every stride looks like, and you will learn how to become a horse whisperer. And I'll tell you something. I've taken everything I've learned from being a horse whisperer. I used to hate being called a horse whisperer, by the way, to being a universe whisperer. Because as a horseman, I have done every single thing in my power to help my horses align in a healthy way to develop a relationship and a symbiosis and something that benefits them. Does it benefit Bella to run around at a trot all worried and sweaty? No, it does not. Now she's fine as long as humans aren't there. Okay, well then just let her be a wild horse. Okay. You want to go off grid and live in a homestead and, raise your own food and eat bark and all that. That's great. In fact, that is kind of sounds cool. Let's go. Right. But in the horse world, when you want to have a relationship with anybody, including yourself, you need to figure out what that alignment looks like and where that source can connect you to. And that takes surrendering, my friends. That takes surrendering to God and source, right? I call it God. It's just my belief system, my BS. But think about that. And if you want to come and see what this looks like, I have great weekend getaways here that I'm offering. My July, I think, just sold out, but they're filling up. They're so fun. Come spend a weekend, couple of days. I have a bonus day on Monday where you can come and learn the technologies, like learn the skills around how to be a horse whisperer. So first day, Friday, you come in, we all get to meet and greet and explore and see the property and meet the horses. We have a beautiful dinner. And then Saturday and Sunday, we do some healing work. I don't want to tell too much because it's so amazing. One of the horses will choose you, and you will spend time with that horse throughout the weekend and engaging with the other participants and learning from them and having this beautiful, just a couple of days, right? Just take a weekend out, give that gift to yourself. And if you want to stay till Monday, you're welcome to stay at my new place. I'm so excited. And you can learn how to be a horse whisperer and how to, when you wake up through the day, decide how you want to feel, get still, get ready, get set, and go. Have an amazing day, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. If you did, make sure you message me if you're interested in joining. I'll make sure I'll put the link in the comments if you want to participate. I think my manager still has it on the sale. So, but I think we're going to be changing that here like this morning. So make sure you join me. If you want to come to beautiful South Florida and experience horses, I would love to see you. All right. Have an amazing day. And remember, believe in yourself. It will change your life.